So we've got new hairstyles and maternity flight suits. Pregnant women are going to fight our wars. It's a mockery of the U.S. military.
That was Fox News host Tucker Carlson on the Pentagon endorsing changes aimed at making the military more inclusive and diverse. The clip went on to light up social media, and the Pentagon was quick to respond, with Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby saying, quote, "We still have a lot of work to do to make our military more inclusive, more respectful of everyone, especially women. What we absolutely won't do is take personnel advice from a talk show host or the Chinese military." Joining me now is someone with firsthand experience in the military, combat veteran and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Amber Smith. Amber, I'm guessing you've heard this before. My question is, has anyone ever said it to you while you were in uniform?
Has anyone said what?
Questioning a woman's role in the military.
Oh, absolutely. I served in one of the combat arms positions where the only job that women were allowed to serve in before they lifted the restriction in 2016. I was a Kiowa Warrior helicopter pilot. I served in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that was the only aviation helicopter pilots. It was the only job that women were allowed to serve in those combat positions. Since then, in 2016, they lifted the restriction and they allowed women to serve in the infantry and special forces, special operations, field artillery, things that they couldn't do before. And so absolutely, I promise you, when it comes to why women are in the military, should they be there or should they not? But I went into it knowing that it was going to be hard and that I better quickly develop thick skin if I want to succeed, and that the military isn't for everyone. And they don't care if I'm a man or a woman. They want the best person, regardless of your gender, to be able to accomplish the mission. And so now in 2021, we want to make sure that that doesn't get blurred. The military's existence, their sole purpose, is to fight and win wars. It's not a social experiment. It's not about making people feel good or including everyone. Serving in the military is not a right. The military turn down people every single day with all sorts of health problems, people who want to serve.
Right.
So, I really have heard it all, but they've made tremendous strides with women across the years.
Amber, there's a camp, and you're obviously in it based on your Twitter feed, that thinks the Pentagon shouldn't have even addressed this. They shouldn't have.
They should not have. It was absolutely an embarrassment to all those who wear the uniform, who have served, and to the taxpayer as well. Tucker Carlson is a private citizen and a taxpayer. And yes, he is a cable news host, but he is entitled to his opinion. Every single American is entitled to their opinion about the military. And so for the Pentagon, for people in uniform to come out and use their official platform, as they are in the military, to speak out against it and make political statements that they disagree with. He wanted to, the sergeant major of the command sergeant major of the Space Force, that Twitter video that he put out, it was just absolutely disrespectful, and it put down Americans who had never served. We have an all-volunteer force. There is no requirement, and the U.S. military should not be shaming people who haven't served. So I was ashamed to see high-level military officials publicly taking that stance to put down American citizens. Like, I will say, when I was at the Pentagon, I worked largely on the civilian military divide and connecting with the American public. And that divide continues every single year. It gets farther and farther, and Americans less connected to their military. And so for official military people in uniform to come out and make those sorts of statements really hurt the military, is what they did. What they did was extreme. It was high school drama that they interacted in.
Amber,
and
let me get one more question in here for you. You've written about this too. When you're talking about increasing diversity, you say there are some things to consider with this, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned before, all jobs were open to women starting in 2016. But what hasn't been addressed once those jobs were open to women? The selective service. The reason the selective service was constitutional to only have men sign up for the selective service was because men were only allowed to fill those combat style jobs that women weren't allowed in. Now that they're allowed in, why have the times not caught up with why hasn't the law caught up with the times in terms of getting rid of that double standard and special treatment for women? It's just something that they didn't consider. And I'm not saying yes or no, but I'm saying that wasn't considered when they opened all jobs to women.
When it comes to increasing diversity in the military, Amber, what would be the number one thing you would suggest be changed?
I would say that the military is the most diverse workforce that I have ever seen. The military is, I think, better at it than the rest of society. We bleed red, white, and blue on the battlefield. We look to our left and to our right, and we see people who are there to accomplish the mission with us. We don't care, what a person's color or gender is. If they're there to do the exact same job that we are, then that's what we want. We want the best people to do the job. And so I really think with this specific issue, it has gotten so out of control. The Secretary of Defense needs to immediately write a memo internally to all of the services and squash all political and public statements immediately. This has gotten out of control. And then publicly, I would like to see in uniform, probably the service chiefs come out and condone this type of behavior that we've seen from people in uniform and from their public Twitter accounts.
Do you agree with the military general who says we're losing our edge to China?
Unfortunately, I absolutely agree. And that right there was the exact point that Tucker Carlson was making, that the Biden administration is focused on diversity in our military, while, China is focused on beating the United States. And so it is interesting times right now, but I think based on the actions of the Pentagon over the past 2 weeks, you've seen where their priorities lie. And unfortunately, it's not with countering our number one adversary at the moment.
Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense and combat veteran Amber Smith, thank you for your time and your insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.